If you've ever been hurt in a relationship before or cheated on or something's happened where somebody has broken your heart, it is hard to trust again. So what I want to do is I actually want to help you rebuild the trust in your relationship so that you can move forward. It's Renee Slansky and my fancy hairdo this time round. Basically, I'm having a bad hair day. I am a professional dating and relationship coach, and I help women from around the world cultivate the relationship that they desire and deserve. Now, this lesson, I want to talk about trust. Trust is such an important factor of a relationship, and to be honest, it's probably one of the biggest questions that I get asked from women. I did a poll recently where I asked a couple of hundred women what was one of the main things that they actually struggled with when it comes to dating and relationship. Two major things came up: trust and getting men to commit. So whilst I have actually done a program for how to get men to commit, which I will put in the link below, this session I actually want to talk about how to build trust. Now, if you are in a relationship where the trust has been broken, clearly that's going to be a major thing that you are going to be struggling with right now. Trust is such a fundamental part of a relationship. If you cannot have trust, then there's no point actually having a relationship with that person, because trust is essentially the foundation on which you are making any other decision in your relationship. No trust means that you're not going to have the peace that you need to be able to have the progress that you want in your love life. So how do you build trust after it has been broken? How do you trust again when you get into a new relationship if you've actually been hurt before by a past relationship? Well, I'm going to give you 5 tips on how you can build trust once again. Tip number 1 is this: let go. Let it go, let it go. It is so important that you choose to let go. Now notice how I use the word choose. We often think that forgiveness is something that we just kind of do, that happens automatically, and then one day we wake up magically and we no longer have that bitterness, or we no longer have that hurt and pain from that person who actually did something wrong to us. Forgiveness is more about you having inner peace than trying to fix something that you cannot go back and actually fix. Forgiveness is about what is going on inside your own heart and your own mind. If you are continually holding on to that past hurt, or punishing yourself, or choosing to punish the person that you're with now in a relationship because of what someone else has done, or even what they've done as well, then you are hindering yourself from being able to move forward, and you are most definitely hindering yourself from being able to build trust once again. By continually focusing on the pain, you are hindering the healing, because you're so caught up on what should have went right and what they did and the offense that actually happened, that you're actually disabling yourself from moving forward in the present and building the future that you actually ideally want as well. Punishing your partner because of what someone else has done in the past makes absolutely no sense. Now, if you are in a relationship where the trust has been broken and you're now trying to rebuild, you have to decide that you are going to actually let go of what they did to you, and that you are now going to wipe the slate clean and move forward. Choosing to forgive them does not mean that you are denying what they've done, and it does not mean that there isn't going to be a consequence for what they have done as well. I don't want you to all of a sudden decide that you're going to forgive them and just pretend that everything's okay and sweep all those feelings under the rug, because it's not going to work like that. It's going to manifest in some other sort of way, and it really isn't going to be able to get you healed at the core. This essentially is about deciding on a daily basis that you are going to let go, that you are actually going to choose your focus and move forward, even if you're still struggling at that point in time. The second thing is this: trust is a choice. We think that trust kind of just happens. We assume that that person has to do something for us to be able to trust them, and then we'll trust them a little bit more. Trust does involve the actions of somebody else, but at the same time, if you want to build trust, you need to take that first step forward. Essentially, trust is actually taking a risk. It's like this leap of faith that we take, okay? And in order to really move forward and know whether or not you can build that trust, you have to take that first initial step. Like all the big things in relationships, when it comes to love, when it comes to communication, when it comes to commitment, all those things aren't just a feeling, and they cannot be based off our feelings, because our feelings are always going to be inconsistent. They need to be a choice. That's why trust needs to be a choice. If you have been hurt before and now you're in a new relationship, you need to decide that you're going to choose to trust him regardless of what somebody else has done to you in the past or what you have experienced before. If you're going to move forward after trust has been broken in a relationship, that again, you are going to choose to trust them again. It doesn't mean that you're going to have that instant trust level that you used to before, because obviously if trust has been broken, it needs time to actually rebuild again. But at the same time, you need to decide that you are actually going to take that risk again and choose to trust them. The third tip on building trust in a relationship is strong communication. Now, communication, you hear me harp about this all the time, and that's because it is so incredibly vital to a relationship. Strong communication is the glue of any relationship, and it's important that if you want to build trust, that you need to actually talk to them about what it is that you're thinking, what it is that you're feeling, what your fears are, what your expectations are, so they actually have something to measure it by, and they know whether or not they are doing things that are encouraging trust, or whether they need to actually step up a little bit. Men are not mind readers. I know, right? So that means we actually need to communicate what it is that we expect, what it is that we want, and what it is that we need in order to be able to build trust. Just make sure that when you are communicating this to him, that you're not allowing it to come from a place of insecurity, fear, or a highly emotional state. Ladies, if there's one thing that I can tell you about men, is they need to know that you do trust them. They need to know that despite all our insecurities, all our fears, all our past history and everything else, that we are not putting them in the same bucket as every other guy who has actually done something wrong to us. Now, the fourth tip when it comes to building trust is consistency. If you really want to build trust with somebody, whether you've broken the trust or they've broken the trust, or maybe something's happened in the past which has made you really fearful of trusting somebody else again, consistency is the key here. The best way to know about someone's character is to really look at what they're consistent in. And that's why it's important, if you yourself want to build trust, or if you're trying to get trust from a partner, or you're just really working this out together, you have to remain consistent. And this means remaining consistent in your words and your actions, making sure that they line up so that you're not saying one thing and then doing another. Or if you're finding that the person that you're with is being inconsistent, then you need to communicate that to them. You need to say, well, hey, you said this, but you're doing this. Can you see how that actually makes me wonder if I can trust you again? Do not be afraid to talk about what they're doing. Love is keeping each other accountable. Love is talking about things without the fear of their reaction as well. What was point number 3? Communication. Some people are not aware about what they are consistent in, hence why people create negative patterns in their life. And it's usually not until we actually bring it to their attention that they're able to actually see that what they're doing is either right or wrong. And lastly, in order to build trust, you need to set a standard. This means that if something happened where your relationship fell apart or trust was broken, or something happened in the past where you have actually then struggled to trust somebody again, you need to make sure that as you move forward, you have a clear idea of what it is that you should be working towards and what that healthy standard should be. If you keep doing what you've always done, then you're always going to keep getting what you've always got. It is as simple as that. And if you want to create change, if you want to build trust on a daily basis, because it is a daily thing, it's not something that just, again, magically happens overnight. It's small steps every single day in our words, in our actions, in our thoughts, choosing our focus, choosing what it is that we want to feed, because that is what will grow. But you need to have that healthy standard to actually work towards, so that you know that you're not being unrealistic or high maintenance or insecure, okay? When we have trust that is broken, I think one of the biggest sort of struggles that we have with moving on after that trust is being broken is we start to question whether or not we are being insecure, or what it is that we should do, or are we overreacting, especially as women, okay? We just overturn everything in our head. And then we overcomplicate things, right? So that's why it's important that if you're not actually confident in trusting yourself to make the right decision, that you actually have a really healthy, clear standard in place to know that you've got that guideline to actually work towards, and let that be your standard if you can't actually decide for yourself what your standards should be. Well, there you go, ladies. I hope that really helped, and I really hope that this is a season where you are able to build more trust into your love life and into yourself and into your decisions as well. Remember, trust is an incredibly fundamental part of a relationship, and just because it has been broken or just because you have a fear of trusting, it doesn't mean that it can't be repaired, and it doesn't mean that you can't learn to trust once again. Well, that's it for me. Don't forget to subscribe. I do new videos every Tuesdays and Thursdays. In the meantime, check out some of my free guides and some programs that I have in the link below. Have an incredible day. Don't forget also, if you've got any questions, email me at hello@reneeslansky.com. I would love to hear from you. In the meantime, bye for now.